But let's start with Uruguay and Panama, a game that we just witnessed. Final score 3-1 for Uruguay. Maxi Araujo with a golazo in the 16th minute. It was 1-0 at the half. Stayed that way for most of the game. Darwin Nunez with a goal in the 85th minute to make it 2-0. A stoppage time goal from Uruguay's Viña made it 3-0. And then Michael Murillo with a goal for Panama at the very end of stoppage time. Final score 3-1 in this game in Group C. As we mentioned, our good friend and colleague Kasey Keller is with us, but we'll start with this one in studio. Ale, what do you think of Uruguay's performance in this game? They're a team that a lot of people thought might be able to win this tournament.
Well, there are a couple of things that stick out of this match. The first thing is the intensity with which Uruguay started the game. Getting numbers around the ball, 2 and 3 players, pressing higher of the fields, forcing turnovers, creating chances, and that brings me to the second point and the second takeaway, and that is Darwin Nunez. I love me some Darwin Nunez. I really do. I think he brings a lot of hard work into the position. I think he brings a lot of sacrifice into the position. I think he puts himself in a lot of good positions in order to score goals. And yet I think that he frustrates a lot of people out there, particularly Liverpool fans, because, man, the chances come and the chances go. And he's unable to provide that final touch. And what's really frustrating is that potentially the hardest opportunity, the hardest chance that he had is the one that he actually scored, which is classic Darwin Nunez behavior. In that 1v1 situations, okay, he's going to score. No, he isn't. How about a tap in from 6 yards out and he's going to score? No, he isn't. How about the volley on the turn as the ball just kind of pops in the air to his left foot going away from goal? That's the one that he's going to score. And that is Darwin Nunez as a player. If Uruguay are going to achieve the things that I believe they're capable of achieving in this tournament, Darwin Nunez has to have a big, productive tournament. And today, had he gone without scoring a goal, I think it sets him off in the wrong path. The fact that he's actually gone and scored a goal, even if it was towards the end of the match, you saw his celebration. His celebration is, this, I can't hear you, this, calm down, because he knows that the moment he misses a chance, that conversation starts. Well, I suppose that we put away that conversation just for now because he was able to score, but they're going to need him to be at his best. And is his best just this? The fact that he misses a lot of opportunities and scores a goal late? It has to be better than that if Uruguay are going to win this title.
What did you make of Uruguay in this game?
Yeah, they were really impressive. They have variation in the attack. They're obviously clinical in front of goal, besides some of the Nunez opportunities. I loved how they were high pressing and making Panama have to go long, and then they battle for the first and second balls. They were very connected within the lines, but it's really impressive how many numbers they get forward and creating the opportunities, and that's something that's going to be really dangerous moving into, playing U.S.
It's the Bielsa style, isn't it? Is it something? It's certainly something that can attract people. It's certainly something that can be fun to watch. Is it something you can do and win a tournament?
Well, we're going to see. I have my doubts. I doubt.
What specifically about the way they play gives you doubts?
It's dangerously reckless at the back. You leave yourself vulnerable for 1v1 opportunities for the opposition. The intensity, can you maintain that intensity not only for 90 minutes, but for 6 games? The press, when you press, do teams have the ability to bypass that press? If you do, how can you protect yourself so you're not 1v1? And if you are 1v1, do you have the pace and athleticism at the back to combat that? Both center backs come out of this game. Who knows if it was due to injury or due to fatigue, but they're out of this game. Marcelo Bielsa, for as good of a coach as he is, he has this MO about his game that while it is attractive and while it can produce lots of goals, lots of wins, it rarely wins you titles. That's a reality throughout his career. He's 68 years old. He's got a couple Argentine titles, a title in the championship to show for it. Runner-up in Copa America, runner-up in Libertadores. When it matters most, he's come up just a bit short. It doesn't mean he's not a good coach, but I do feel it is the style. It's asking a lot of these players. And Panama today, while Uruguay dominated the first half, they let a team like Panama come back into this game and were dangerously close to leveling. There was a play where it was 1v1 at the back. I believe it was Fajardo who ends up missing the chance. That if you put that away and it's 1 versus 1, you give a team like Panama confidence, and now this game changes. The complexion is different. But certainly, with the individual talent that Uruguay has, the intensity and physicality that they bring, because they're a very physical team, it's going to give a lot of teams problems. Whether they can sustain that energy, that press, that intensity throughout the tournament, that's a different matter.
The style matches a player of the qualities and characteristics of Fede Valverde. This thing,
yes.
And we're going, and we're going, and we're coming, 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 and we're going. And that's what he does.
Isn't that kind of the DNA of the Uruguayan player overall?
Well, it can be in the hold on. It can be in the DNA, but not everybody can physically sustain it. Fede Valverde can. So for him, it seems tailor-made. But I'm sure Giorgio de Arrascaeta is not saying, yeah, I want to go over there and press, and then I want to go over here and defend. Naintan Nandes is not saying, I'm going to go over there and press and come back here and defend. And look, you saw it. There was a drop-off from Uruguay.
Yep. First 10 minutes of the second half, Panama had 2 or 3 chances.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so there was a drop-off from Uruguay because that intensity is impossible to sustain over the course of 90 minutes. And because you're not structured as a team that, okay, well, now we're going to rest behind the ball and we're going to absorb pressure because you have a manager who's telling you and beating you upside the head, saying, no, confront, face to face, get in people's faces, get numbers around the ball. We're gonna make it tight. We're gonna force turnovers. It forces you to get out of position where actually you should be a little bit more conservative. Having said that, I do think that Uruguay continues to be one of the favorites in this competition, and this performance has done nothing but, I think, confirm that for me. Because when they sustain that pressure for 20, 30 minutes, if Darwin Núñez puts a couple of chances away that he missed in the first half, this game is 3-0, and it's over. It doesn't matter what sustainability they have in the second half. It's already 3-0, and Panama are not coming back.
Yeah. Uruguay's first shot on target in the second half was a goal from Darwin Núñez, and that falls in the 85th minute. Kasey, what did you make of the performance here from Uruguay, and specifically the performance of Darwin Núñez?
Well, yeah, I really thought the first half it was a classic, what you want to see from Bielsa. Harass a team, force them into a bunch of unforced errors, create a bunch of opportunities. Now, what you don't like seeing is a bunch of missed chances, and particularly from Núñez. But then the second half, I think everything that everyone was speaking about is the sustainability of being able to keep that pressure up. Panama made some adjustments. They bypassed the original line of pressure from Uruguay and then kept the ball much better after they bypassed that line of pressure. And in doing that, it came to all the problems that you have when you're trying to press and people not in good defensive positions once that first line is broken. And Panama showed what we talked about after the first game, the U.S.-Bolivia game, is they have a different level of athleticism that Bolivia have. And that was evident in the match against Uruguay, is that they were able to show at times when they could run with Uruguay, when they could kick Uruguay and frustrate them and make it difficult. So for as great as Uruguay was, then the subs came in and they were able to re-intensify that pressure. And through those subs and through that added pressure, when Panama was pushing to try to find an equalizer, that's when the spaces opened up and they took advantage of the opportunities. But yeah, I think Uruguay have to be smart about the way they press, that they can't do it for 90 minutes. So can they pick and choose those 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes when they're on the ascendancy, and they can really put teams under pressure, capitalize off the chances, and then drop into a good defensive position. And then when the opportunity arises again, then press again. Because I agree with everybody when you're talking about not only for 90 minutes, but for 6 matches, it's a lot to ask. So I think if they're smarter with their tactics, and I love the tactics, but to be a little bit smarter with it, I think they can be a significant threat if they're a little bit more efficient in the final third.
This Uruguay style, as a player, would you love to play in it or would you hate to play in it?
I would love to play in it. I know, like, as I got older, I've moved to the middle, so I'm just kind of organizing, making sure the team shifts properly, stays connected. So the high pressing was mainly left for the front 6. But I could speak to recent, in the last year, in the season with Gotham, where we were one of the best, if not the best, high-pressing teams in the world, and we regained the ball so high up on the field that it created so many chances. And it, you know, like Ale was saying, if you put those chances away, then you don't necessarily have to worry about, you know, if you're able to sustain it or not. Yes, it's very difficult, but I agree with Kasey. You have to make sure that you pick and choose your times to go. But when it works and everyone's connected, then it's very dangerous and it's very difficult to break out of. And it's, you regain the ball so high up on the field and you have a lot of success doing that.
We keep coming up against this idea of Uruguay's finishing. There's a guy on their bench with a lot of goals to his name in Luis Suarez. Is that something they should look into? I know Nunez gets the goal in the 85th minute, but if not for that, I feel like that's the conversation they'd be having in Uruguay.
I'm guessing the director who, for this match, on TV, was actually agreeing with you because he kept panning to Luis Suarez. Yeah. Well, I will tell that director and whoever is making these production decisions, if we're talking about the pressure and high pressure of Uruguay, you know who cannot run around and high press anybody at this point in his career? That is Luis Suarez. Now, if you want perhaps a late goal, or somebody who can give you a final touch inside the 18-yard box late in the match because you're chasing it, yeah, maybe Luis Suarez is the answer. But if this is about high pressing and harassing teams, he just can't do it. If you have seen Luis Suarez run right now, currently, it's painful. It's painful to watch. However, the final touch, he still has that, and he will have that until the day he stops playing, and beyond that. You don't lose that. But you do lose your legs, and you do lose your ability to run. And he hasn't been able to run for a while now, but certainly at this point, he is not anywhere near the player that can harass and press and high press and press again and counter press. That's not happening. Super sub for Suarez? That's the role he's limited to, you think?
Well, I don't think he's limited to. I think that's what he's catered to at this point in his career. He's not here because he's going to start, as Ali rightfully pointed out, and be the player that's going to press, run, and be what Darwin Nunez is, sans the goal. He's here in case you need, break glass in case of emergency type of player, and it's not a bad player to have. It's not a bad player to have if you're down a goal and all of a sudden the game changes for you and you're chasing it and you need to throw numbers forward. A player like that in the box, that's a good player to have. I go back to Uruguay and the intensity. You play with the national team. It's 1 or 2 games in a window. You go home. That's your shift. It's no longer 1, 2 games in a window and you go home. They have to be very careful. If I'm an opponent of Uruguay going into this, the fact that they are so aggressive in how they press you and how they defend you. Their only loss in World Cup qualifying came to Ecuador, and it was Ecuador playing with that aggression. It was off 2 set pieces. One of them was a penalty kick with how aggressive they are. If you play your cards right with the finishability of Darwin Nunez, you can make this team suffer. I don't want to move past this segment without talking at least a little bit about Panama. They are the United States' next opponent in group play. Kasey, what did you see from this Panamanian team today, and is there any way you think that they could threaten the United States? Because there were some passages of play where they seemed to have good moments here against Uruguay.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you could see the physical ability that they have. They can run. They can compete. They've got great size. Now, the first half, I thought they might have been just really nervous against this team because they gave a lot of balls away in midfield. I know they were under pressure, but we saw in the second half that they're far more capable with the ball at their feet than they showed in the first half. And I think if they come into a game against the United States, which they've had, I'm not going to say success, but they've definitely been very competitive against the United States over the last decade or so, and they're not going to come in fearing the United States, and they're going to think, you know what, we can rough them up a little bit, we can kick them a little bit, we can make them uncomfortable, we can use our physicality, and then we got a goalkeeper that can make a couple saves when we need him to, and yeah, maybe we can just come away with something here and see if we can just kind of upset things. But I still feel the U.S. are still strong favorites in this match, but it is a side, as we saw, against a very talented Uruguay team that gave them some troubles. That I think coming out of halftime, I don't think Uruguay thought Panama was going to give them the troubles they did in the first 15 minutes of that second half. So I think what it really showed for the U.S. is Okay, you got your 3 points against Bolivia. I think everybody in this group is going to get their 3 points against Bolivia. But this is the big matchup for the United States against Panama. To go out there, don't underestimate this side. Rule number one, if you have better talent than your opponent, you have to first and foremost match their physicality. If the U.S. comes to this game, matches the intensity and the physicality of Panama, they'll win the game. If they come out a little bit lackadaisical and let Panama kind of kick them a little bit and get at them, it could be a tough day.
We saw both the United States today and Panama today. We saw Panama just wrap their game up a few minutes ago. Is there anything in Panama that, from a U.S. perspective, would worry you ahead of that second game?
I think once they started building out of the back and connecting between the lines and being able to create opportunities and get shots on target, they did have a bit of variety in the attack. Nothing I'm too worried that the U.S. can't handle, but the goal proved that once they get an opportunity and a short little moment like that and a quick trigger, they can put the ball in the back of the net. So as long as they stay compact, they stay organized, they stay focused, and they move, shift, so they don't create those gaps in between, I think they will be okay.
You've been pretty high on Panama for a long time. What do you think of them tonight?
Maybe not their best showing tonight, but even against a team that's so intense and so physical and so just individually talented like Uruguay, they still played their game or tried to. They connected over 250 passes. That's an all-time high for them in Copa America. This line of five that Thomas Christensen uses, it's very effective. They keep the ball, they move it side to side. The goal comes off their right back in a wing-back position, connect to his left, and shelving it. It's a very well-worked team. Listen, 4 years of Thomas Christensen, there is no nation in CONCACAF that has advanced more. With the limited resources that they have, they get so much out of these players. I was very disappointed in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinal versus Mexico because I felt that wasn't the Panama that we have seen before. And then to lose the third-place match versus Jamaica, I thought that was it. This brings me back a little in terms of faith for this Panama team. But their ultimate goal isn't to make semifinals of Copa America or quarterfinals of Copa America. Their ultimate goal is to make it to the World Cup, and I think this is the right route. Thomas Christensen has a very well-worked team, and if he keeps going this way, I think they'll get it. Initial impression, Ale, you think they can trouble the U.S.?
If the United States play at the level that we expect them to play, the United States should beat Panama. I honestly think it's simple as that. However, a lesser version of the United States, then now you're flirting with danger. And Panama has proven, I believe, at least from what we saw tonight, that if you allow them to have some life and allow them to have a sense of belief, even if it is for a small window, they're going to take it. And at the very least, they're going to present some danger and they're going to be threatening. So if I'm the United States, I have to make sure that Panama understands who's the big boy in the team or in the game and who's going to take control of the game. Don't allow Panama to believe that they're capable of beating you, because if you allow them to believe, they gave Uruguay some issues tonight. Exactly. Uruguay wins 3-1, but in the 85th minute, it was a 1-0 game. Yeah. Everything to play for. So Uruguay picking up the 3 points, as the United States do in Group C in the 2024 Copa America. ESPN FC, of course, is with us 7 days a week here on ESPN Plus, covering both Copa America and the European Championships. We got Dan, Kay, and the rest of the crew back in Bristol. Don't miss a single show.